I'm Debbie Iannaci, and I'm here at the GBTA broadcast studio. Joining me today is Sabrina Sng, Head of Commercial Payment Solutions, APAC for Discover Global Network. Sabrina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here, Debbie.
Great. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's happening in the business travel industry, and specifically in this market of APAC. When you think about perhaps a single theme or issue that's having the most impact here in Asia Pacific, what would you say that is at present?
Well, the thing is, if we talk about the single theme, in fact, there are more than one or two, but the sense around it is all about the pent-up travel that we hear, or revenge traveling, depending whether you're a corporate or you are an individual consumer. We hear that a lot. We also have different statistics, or research to tell us that, it's coming back. It should be, back to pre-pandemic level. But I think in the report that we received in August 2023, it still shows that, we're 30%. In terms of spending limit, lower than the pre-pandemic 2019. So having said that, what it also means is that we have got factors that we need to take into consideration. For example, in the business travel aspect of it, the airlines are not having enough travel capacity. There are labor shortages, supply chain issue. But these are all looking positive in 2024. And even for GBTA yourself, in your business travel index, it has also projected that by 2024, the forecast of business travel spending is going to hit 1.52 trillion, which is higher than what was set for in 2019. And that was at 1.43. So with all this said, the sign is definitely driving towards a more positive stance. We're looking towards having, a more positive rebound of travel coming back for the industry. So it's good news for everybody. Now, for me, being in the payment network, we of course look at, how businesses pay and how do they get paid. I think one of the pickup that we have from some of the research we came across as well is that while travel volume picks up, airlines obviously see an incremental growth in their volume. But they are also experiencing incremental payment costs because of the different type of, payment methods that they get from their corporate customers. There is maybe different ways of how payments are being treated. So there are actually, a major cost issue for them. So this is an area, of course, we as payment company look at and try and find solutions to help them with. And for businesses in the face of economic challenges, they are also getting challenged with accessing to credit, and while we say there's pent-up travel, businesses are also looking at how they can optimize business travel. So yeah, in the broad scheme of things, these are the couple of issues that we see confronting us.
Right, and also just the return, if you will, is, a lot of things aren't the same, or folks aren't looking at it the same way they did maybe before the pandemic, and so we're all kind of maybe looking and resetting. But the travel industry and payment options goes back for many, many years as running kind of a parallel course, and they've really continued to evolve together over the years. So how does Discover Global Network view the role of fintechs within the business travel payment sector right now?
The global fintech system continue to expand and diversify. In the face, as I mentioned, in the face of macroeconomic challenges that we see, we do see that more and more of the collaboration is happening between fintechs, the banks, and payment network like ourselves. So at Discover, we are also actively working with fintech partners. Obviously, we do want to find the right partners that has the platform, that has the capability, that could help expand or, to improve our reach to our customer. And when we look at the travel ecosystem, say for example, we look at travel agencies or travel management companies, we have solutions that we partner with our fintech partners to address those cash flow issues for our travel agency, for example. So one of the use case is, we have what we call our travel services account that allow the travel agency to basically use that to better streamline their booking of the tickets, air tickets, or hotel on behalf of their customers. And it helps to optimize or improve their working capital because, as I mentioned earlier, not many of the corporates adopt, digital payment solution or adopt a card payment. And as such, with those traditional payment methods, sometimes it's a stretch on travel agency if they have got to continue to remain competitive. And using the same use case and using the same set of services that we offer, together with our fintech, we are now able to offer virtual card solution, which is actually also a very big thing. We hear a lot about it, and even in the conference earlier, how the capability of virtual cards allow you to better manage control, compliance, give you more visibility, more data, and all these aspects are actually very important because for larger companies, the ability to have data and the ability to help track employee expenses and of course the duty of care are all very important factor in consideration for any responsible company. So with our partnership with fintech, we feel like this solution is able to solve for many of these problems, whether it's for our corporate customers, whether it's for our travel partners such as the TMC. And the same use case can be adopted for airlines, for hotels as well. So we are actually expanding into that horizon to use the same principle, use the same rails, but then churning out different use cases.
Right, and it's such an important aspect of the travel experience, if you will, on both sides, whether what actually touches the traveler, but what's happening behind the scenes at each one of those supplier companies or partners in the industry to really make things work for everybody. I think everybody's looking for more of all of that, efficiencies and things like that. So you mentioned a minute ago, Sabrina, that a little bit we talked about forecast ahead. So here at the GBTA APAC conference in Singapore, I'm going to ask you for perhaps a forecast, maybe when you think about the next 12 to, let's say, 18 months out. What do you think are the biggest challenges for businesses when it comes to their business travel?
So as I mentioned, corporates are still a little behind in adopting digital payment solution. Many of them are still comfortable with the traditional payment method. So in our own proprietary research, partnering Euromonitor, the research interestingly shows that there are still 30% of businesses who wants to use cash and personal cards for payments. And we all know, right, using cash, personal cards, it lacks the data and it lacks the ability to kind of like streamline expense reconciliation, let alone the duty of care because of the tracking mechanism in those payment methods. But having said that, we are also aware that many of these businesses are now becoming more aware and they realize the benefits of what digital payments can do for them. So 30% still prefer to use cash and personal cards, but there's like 54% of them has indicated that they will be very keen or are really exploring into digital payment solution. And of the 54%, in the larger corporates, there's at least 74% of them are really looking seriously into using virtual cards, using digital payment methods to help them track employee expenses, help them being able to get access to more robust data, more enhanced data, so that they could either use it for better supplier rationalization, supplier negotiation, or actually to maybe drive a stronger control and compliance over their business travel policy. Right. And for smaller company, the availability of all this data through a dashboard also give them the ability to be able to track expenses, to then gain insight into how best they can actually, as their business grow, leverage those data points. So these are so-called issue on one hand, but yet at the same time we are seeing that businesses are tracking towards the digital adoption which is good news for all of us.
Right. And what would you say, in general, is the biggest barrier to them moving either faster into the digital fintech space usage?
So it's interesting, as a consumer, we are inundated with a lot of apps in our mobile, right? We pay using QR, we use contactless. But strangely, for the same consumer that is using, all these varied payment methods, when we translate that into a corporate environment, the adoption is a lot slower. So I've spoken to some CFO before, and I think one of the indications through them or from them was really because some of them are actually confounded by the travel policy or by the policies, right? Some of them may still probably not be too exposed, or maybe there's a need to align for a more consistent adoption or delivery of those solutions. So there are different factors surrounding it. But I think what is becoming clear is that CFO does want to know how can they better optimize their cash flow, their working capital. Today, they recognize the fact that you can't stop travel or not travel to see customer. It is a very big thing in Asia that you need to be in front of a customer to have business, to build relationship. So they recognize and they understood that. But so in order not to kind of erode the bottom line or to overspend on business traveler, it's just to look at ways to help them better manage some of these processes. So by adopting digital payments, obviously, is one that could help them drive savings, direct savings, supplier rationalizing, as well as having better visibility of their spend and the employee whereabouts.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity for fintech to continue to evolve along with the travel industry. So,
yes,
well, thank you, Sabrina, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Great.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us at the GBTA Broadcast Studio.